Hello and welcome back to another video right here on the channel. So, second week of the month means one thing, guys: board game unboxing. Last month I started the first of a three-part series, the Dungeons and Dragons games, and this is part two. So, last time out we visited Castle Ravenloft and the vampires. This time we're going to face the wrath of Ashardalon. Okay, that is Ashardalon himself there on the front. So it says Dungeons and Dragons, age 12 plus, for 1 to 5 players. So automatically it's the solo mode. Last month's game was solo, this month's game is solo, next month's game is solo. So they just give you a chance to just itch, get that D&D itch out the way if you can't get your pals around or anything like that. Anyone who's been here on the channel for a while and watching board game content knows how much I love the solo mode of all these games. Okay, so there is the back, folks. So it's the same kind of fare as last time, where we have tiles, we have cards, we have figures. The whole game is ran on the 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons D20 system. Those not in the know, D20 is a 20-sided dice. The whole game runs on one dice, okay? So, like last time, and like next time, it's going to be a case of you have like a modifier, so you'll have like say a +4 for an axe, as example. So you'll roll on a D20, get what your score is, add your 4, and the creature or the monster will have what's called an AC, an armour class. That'll be a number. So say for example, you have +4, you roll 10, you've got 14. The creature has an armour class of 15. You've missed. That's all it is. If you beat it, you hit. It'll say on your card what your weapon does. 1 hit, 2 hits, damage, etc. like that. It really is that simple, guys. This system is absolutely lovely. I think I mentioned last time as well that you can basically mix and match and do your own adventures, because these things all have dungeon tiles. They all have different monsters, all within the same D&D universe, so you can literally just like mix and match and have like your own little game of Dungeons and Dragons. It does, you could do like a dungeon crawl one night with your mates, a couple of beers, pretzels, chips, whatever, and listen to me getting into all American mode. Yeah, so you could do that, or you can play through like a campaign. I will show you the rule book in a minute when we actually get around to the unboxing, and I'll tell you how many. I think it was 12 in Ravenloft, so there might be about 10 or 12 different missions to do. So campaigns, basically, like you all know now, it's like a series of missions. Mission 1, 2, 3, 4, and we open up the story as we go along. Okay, so there's your intro out the way. I'm going to read the back and just give you a little bit of flavour text. Okay, so it says, plunder the dungeons of Firestorm Peak at your own peril. In Wrath of Ashardalon, you play a heroic adventurer. With magic and weapons and amazing spells, you must explore the dungeon beneath the volcano, where you will fight monsters, overcome hazards, find treasure, and eventually face the red dragon Ashardalon. Wait until you see his mini later. It is wicked. Are you ready for adventure? Okay, so it says, Wrath of Ashardalon features dungeon crawling action and terrifyingly fun quests designed for a single player to a cooperative group of 2 to 5 players. So on your own or up to 5, okay? Also, you can play more than one character in solo. Like all co-op games, you just play character A, character B, character C, like that. Yeah, let the game run itself. Each quest can be played in an hour or less, and the game includes campaign rules for longer adventures, and there's a list of game components. I'm not going to go through them because we're going to find them and have a look at them all together. Okay, folks, so quick disclaimer. Like I said last month, I'd unwrapped Ravenloft and played a couple of missions. Ashardalon, I got straight after it, about a week after, I think, and I basically popped all the tokens, unbagged everything, but I haven't played a single mission in Ashardalon, but that does need to change. I'm lucky enough, as we speak, to have a new gaming group who love D&D and who love all kinds of co-op board games, so that will be there at some point. Okay, so I'm going to put the box down now. I'm going to do what I've done last month. I have the tray here because it's just overloaded. I'd have been tipping it round, messing cards up, the whole lot. It wouldn't have been good, honestly, and you see my anxieties on camera there. Okay, so starting off then, we have the Dungeons and Dragons Wrath of Ashardalon board game rule book. Okay, so what's nice about this immediately is there is an FAQ on the back. FAQ, frequently asked questions. The questions basically that you can go along and you can be playing the game and you might come across something in the rule book, you might be, well, what does that mean? So to save running away and having a look online, or mind you, most of us just have our phones now, don't we, or tablets or whatever, but an FAQ is just basically a list of questions that could come up that the designers have thought, probably an afterthought, because obviously it would have been in the rule book, but you know what I mean. I'll put that to one side. I'll have a quick flick through that in a minute. Next comes the adventure book. So this is where all our campaign, all our little games, all that good stuff is in. I'm just going to quickly flick through, like I've done last time, tell you how many adventures there are. There are, yeah, Adventure 12, The Wrath of Ashardalon. Adventure 13, Assault on Firestorm Peak. Okay, so, yeah, it looks like there's 12 adventures and one that sort of follows on. The adventure book is going over there. There will be no more things here because this channel, I don't do spoilers. If I want to buy a board game like an Arkham Horror, something like that, I want to play through without knowing. I don't mind knowing what the contents of it is, but I want to play through without knowing. Okay, and we get a little Dungeon Masters, create a world filled with adventure. Players, your adventure is just getting started. So these are basically advertising its big brother, Dungeons and Dragons. Always nice. I mean, obviously, you know, you buy these board games, you've got some form of affiliation to the IP. Anyway, you know, you are a D&D player, you are a role-playing player. You know, you're here to do a dungeon crawl with all kinds of fantastical creatures and monsters. So, hey, you know what I mean? I don't mind that in there. It might be a little bit of a cash grab because, you know, it's people like, oh, well, you know, Wizards of the Coast are doing it and whatever. Well, hey, that's fine. It's their product. D&D is one of the oldest games and etc. So I'm good with that. I'm at peace with that. Okay. So we have a massive, well, we have 2 big bags of tokens. Okay. So there's tokens in here for everything. Treasure tokens, healing surge tokens, trap tokens, hit point tokens. I'm seeing a hazard token here with a pit. So yeah, big bag of tokens. Second bag of tokens. So these games are token heavy really. And again, I don't mind that. Little tokens for, say, the traps that go down on the dungeon tiles for you to know, you know. And as a reminder as well, this one appears to just be more hit points. And there is a condition in there. Condition marker. Poisoned. Okay, so some of the creatures in the dungeon are going to poison you. So it might slow you down. You might miss a turn or whatever. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what the poison rule is. Okay. We have a big bag of minis, which I will show at the end. These are minions. We have Ashardalon himself, which I ain't going to show you yet. I'll show you him last, and a couple of his bigger minions as well. But you think the monsters, the minis in the last box were good? Yeah, forget about that. This is where it's at. This is the shit. Okay, right. So we're continually digging out here now. So we've got the starting tile. I think the one in Ravenloft was only about that big, wasn't it? So this is obviously a bigger starting tile. So again, what you do is you start here and you move like your squares. When you got to here, you'd open up like another square, and that's how the dungeon basically goes on. We have, talking off the dungeon, we have pile 1 of dungeon tiles. So to give you an idea, okay, so that's what they look like there. That probably wasn't the very, well, that's, yeah, that's probably a better example for you, okay? And so you can see like a little mark here in the, up the top there. That's where you put like your monster when you get onto it, okay? So basically every tile's gonna have a monster, or most tiles are gonna have a monster. So big pile 1, and of course, big pile 2. So, you know, the great thing about these guys, as I say, you draw in these blind almost, you know, and the good thing about it is you don't know what's coming. So for instance, you'd have like a pre-arranged thing with the rules where it'll say, you know, break the deck being the tiles, into say 3 piles, and then in the 3rd pile put such and such. So basically you're not going to walk in on like that big chamber or that big room or that big encounter until you've gone through at least like 2/3 of the dungeon, you know, because there's no point in pulling something and go, oh right, there's, you know, there's the chamber of death or whatever it's called, you know, straight away. It's a little bit silly really, isn't it? Okay, so that's the dungeon tiles for you. Oh, what's this guy? Bellax, Garth, Aberrant. Okay, so the big guys, the minions and the big boss have their own like card, and again that'll just tell you how to, you know, run that particular baddie, what his tendencies are. Yes, it's like his tactics, if he's adjacent to a hero, if he's within 3 tiles. Otherwise, if he's not, he's going to move towards you. So yeah, that's all good. Nice and easy to understand. And there is Ashardalon himself, okay? And again, he has his behaviour pattern. And he has his statistics there. So yeah, oh my word. So you've got to roll 16 or over to hit him, and he's got 12 hit points. So you're going to be in like one hell of a fight there, aren't you, with the big fella? But hey, you should. He's a big red dragon, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? And then we have more of his minions. So these are double-sided. They got caught out last month. Okay, so a Rage Drake. What's that one there? Enraged Rage Drake. Okay, so he's a level 5 villain. Okay, yeah. Ossahue. I hope I pronounced that right. What's this? Morgrath, Dwergar Captain. Okay, so he's the captain of like one of the enemy warbands there. Crash, Orc, Storm, Shaman. So we know automatically he's going to be like a magic user in there. And Mirak, a Kobold Dragon Lord. There we go. So again, I think your heroes can go up to level 2, I think. And it's actually quite it's quite a normal thing in D&D. Being a DM myself in the past, I have a thing called the Monster Manual. And what you tend to do is, like, if you're going to start an adventure like with level 1 characters, then you normally go about sort of 2 levels up, because that's like a decent challenge for them. You know, you throw a few creatures, monsters of the same kind of level in, and then you throw a couple of higher ones up. You never ever bought like a level 1 character with a level 10 monster, because it's not going to end well. And they've done the same here. They've gone 3 levels up. Ashardalon's a level 6, so you're going to get through. You're going to be level 2, he's going to be 4 levels higher than you. It's going to represent the challenge. Okay, so talking to our players, we have Heskan, the Dragonborn Wizard. Caleth, the Elf Paladin. Quinn, the Human Cleric. Vistra, the Dwarf Fighter. And Tarak, the Half-Orc Rogue. Okay, so they have their level 1 and they have their level 2 side. But when they level up, you just flick it over and you obviously get a little bit more powerful. And again, any of these characters, you fancy Tarak, the Half-Orc Rogue, stick him in Legend of Dritz, stick him in Ravenloft. Totally interchangeable sandbox Dungeons and Dragons system. Okay, so let's have a look at these minis then, folks. This is where the fun begins. I'm going to put them all over my desk, because you have repeats, and I ain't going to show you no repeats. Okay, so, oh wow, there we go. Let's just start these off. I'm just going to reel them off to you, to be fair. Okay, all kinds of little creatures, and you know the fun thing about these as well is you can bring them out into like your own games of D&D. So if you're playing like a game like 4E and you're looking for like, you know, a serpent or whatever, and you're the kind of DM, and I know our new DM is going to probably want to do figures, so these would be of great use. You know, they're not, you know, they're decent sculpts. They're not like, I'm not going to say to you they're absolutely amazing, because you do get like a lot of repeats, you know what I mean? But hey, I mean, these boxes at the time cost me like $49.99 each, you know, so for the figures alone, it's worth that. You know, if you're kind of a game player, say if you play out something like, say, Warhammer 40,000, you know, I know you'll pay, you know, upwards of, say, 30 quid for a pack of sort of 10 models. So if you look at like in that kind of way, then, you know, these are well worth it. The boxes are well worth it for the figures. You know, because before, having not looked at what the contents were, you know, I couldn't tell you, I couldn't say to you, I would say 50 figures here or, you know, whatever. I mean, all I'll say to you, there are quite a few, as I'm still, like, reeling them off here now. I mean, I think people like sort of like, I think I mentioned last time, like sort of Glenn, Justin, regulars to like the channel, and, you know, board game lovers as well. I think they'd really appreciate this sort of stuff. Still going here, folks. Still loads of them here. Where's Melody when you need her? Crikey, Melody would have been absolutely over the moon with all this lot, I'll tell you. I actually said to her I was doing this series, and she was like, is the minis in it? I'm like, yeah. And she was just like, well, I won't tell you the reply. But let's just say she was disappointed that she wasn't doing it. Okay. Fair enough. Like I say as well, with stuff like the Talisman series, you know, if you wanted to paint these, you know, go right ahead, knock yourself out. You know, they really would paint up well. I'm presuming now that these are our heroes who are in blue, like last time. Just finishing off with a couple of these here. Very Legolas and Gimli, aren't they? So yeah, we're not reading the adventure book beforehand. I couldn't even tell you what like the, you know, the whole kind of monsters in the dungeon are. I mean, obviously it's like some sort of dwarfs in there and kobolds and stuff like that. Your typical D&D fare, you know. But yeah, okay. Let's have a look at the heroes. So we've got this one here. Okay, this one here. Notice the bent sword. Remember the trick I always tell you? A little bit of hot water, dip it, move it, cold water, straighten it up, boom, job's a good one. Never ever start bending your miniatures back, guys. It just doesn't work well, do you know what I mean? Depending on like the kind of plastic. I say that again in every single video and I'm boring you guys with it, but it's something that I can't put over enough. Don't bend your figures because they are made of different types of plastic and they will break. And if they break, then you're knackered, aren't you? Okay, so let's go now with the two minions. So we've got this guy here. Okay. Wouldn't want to face him, like, to be fair. And then we have this guy here. You see they're getting bigger and bigger, can't you? Spin him. Okay. There he is. And you've all been waiting to see Ashardalon himself. There he is. That is one heck of a figure, isn't it? Well worth the spin. I should have the turntable for him, to be fair. But I mean, just like, hopefully the camera will pick up some of the detail on him there. He really is. He would be beautiful to paint, you know. There's one of your heroes in comparison next to him. Okay, so that's literally how big this guy is, and you will meet him in the chamber at the end. Okay. There's two piles of cards as well. I've been waffling, getting all excited over everything else and not going into those. So what I'll do is I'll just, obviously they're just there, you know, so you'd have like your monster pile, you'd have your encounter pile, etc. So we've got monsters. Okay, so there we go, a cave bear as an example there. Okay, with all his stats on. Monster. We have encounters. So it's when you walk onto a tile, you'll face an encounter. So they look like that. This one is a kobold warren. Okay, so it's an event, so you find like a load of kobolds, I'd imagine. Nice little surprise in there for you. Okay, and we have chamber cards. Now these, I'm not going to tell you what's in them. Okay, all I'll say is they're important towards the end of the level. Okay, don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I mean, comments below, you know, am I doing the wrong thing? Would you like me to show you, you know, I mean, you can't keep everybody happy, obviously, can you? But I just prefer, like I say, sort of personal taste, not to have things spoiled, more so for things like campaigns. Okay, so these are nice sequence of play. Okay, so just like the same there. So we have hero phase, exploration phase, villain phase, and it tells the hero phase, exploration phase, and the villain phase in smaller bite-sized chunks. They are lovely, they really are. Okay, and then we have our heroes here. So these are cards like D&D. Your heroes have powers. They have like utility power. I think you can use that once. Sorry, no, daily power you can use that once. At will power you can use as often as you like. So yeah, that's your fighter's deck there. Okay. Your paladin deck. I'm not going to go through, like I say, all their powers and stuff like that. You D&D guys will know it anyway. Your cleric's deck. I said again, just having these powers in front of you, they could actually be used to play like D&D, you know. And your dragonborn, he's going to be the wizard. And your rogue. Okay, so again, even your artwork is nice if you are that particular yearning or leaning in towards, you know, just D&D art and stuff. I mean, a lot of people, I used to collect monster manuals, never ever playing the game, just to have a look at the art. Okay, so treasure cards there. So as an example there, that is an item and that's a potion of speed. Okay, no more for you there. There's your little reveal. And we have boon cards. Okay, so a boon is basically a bonus. That says shortcut on there. And we have adventure cards. I am not going to tell you what's in them, okay, but there are 5 of them. Okay, so they're your decks of cards there, guys. I'll have a quick peep through the rule book and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, just putting those cards back there. There's like a little inlay in the box for them. Okay, so just looking at the rule book quickly. Okay, so yeah, game components, introduction, tells a little bit about the game overview, how you win the game, and then start playing. So it gives us like a nice little guide to just start us off there. Okay, again, nice and simple. Do you know what I like about these books? And the one last month was the same. The writing is bold, it's big, it's concise, and there's no messing about with it. That is an absolute blessing in disguise. Okay, so it tells how we set our players up, then it goes through what you can do, your movement phases, and like a nice little diagram there showing you how you move and stuff. Tells us how to attack. I've already got over combat with you. Roll your die, do your modifier, beat the AC, the armor class of the monster, and then the monster will do the same to you. Okay. Tells us about conditions, how you work with them. So it's poisoned, dazed, amongst others. Tells us about our daily powers, at-will powers, and utility powers. Combat. Tells us about how you defeat monsters, your healing surges, defeating heroes. Yeah, when a hero is reduced to 0 points, keep the hero's figure on the tile. Put it on the side. The monsters will actually ignore the downed hero. And you can have like healing surges. I house rule it because I think there's something like 2 healing tokens in the entire in the game. So if you've got a party of 4 people, someone's going down, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? And when they do, I think it's actually game over. So you can house rule that. You can turn around and say, okay, we'll say, you know, Ali is out the game now. There's no more healing surges, but we're going to carry on because, you know, in reality, or as real as you can be with a role-playing game, you know, you'd be going into a dungeon and explore. So if what do you call it, you know, your team went down, you're going to carry on going, aren't you? You're not going to stop and say, oh, sod this, let's go back and get a pack of butties in the end, do you know what I mean? So, house rule stuff, guys, house rule. I can't, you know, overemphasise the power of house rule. And you put your money down, you've got your gaming group, you've organised your night, you've got your beers in and everything. Change the bloody rules around if you want to. It's about having fun, isn't it, at the end of the day? Okay. It tells us about the monster deck, the encounter deck, and the treasure deck. How we get experience points, levelling up, and then rules for later adventures, making adventures more or less challenging. So, you know, again, house rule, change it round, it's your game. And then tells a little bit about the chambers, which I didn't go into before, I just touched on with the cards. And that is the rule book. Like I say, the other book you get, which we went over, is obviously the adventure book, but I'm not opening it because we know it's called The Wrath of Ashardalon. We know we're going underneath a volcano and we know we're looking for a dragon. What else do you want to know? Okay, guys, so that is part 2 of this 3-parter wrapped up. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. If you don't, hey, thank you for your time and for dropping by anyway. Feel free to share the video with your gaming buddies. Hit the like, it always helps with the YouTube algorithm apparently. More importantly than all of that, guys, leave me a comment below. Do you fancy this? Would you play it? What character would you have? Are you a fighter? Are you a magic user? What do you think about the system so far? Because you've seen 2 of the boxes out of 3 now. Would you pay? You know, would you get it? Would you play it with your group, etc.? Okay, and anything else D&D related? Do you play D&D? Are you a DM? You know, let me know. Tell me about your characters that you play as, your mad adventures with them, and just tell me a lot, because I am like a big D&D head, and I know like all members of my gaming group will be watching this video. So shout out to you guys as well, Ray, Ali, Hugh, Dave. You know, so yeah, everything below, guys. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you next month when we meet the Legend of Dritz.